I want to be quite frank with you here. If the British withdraw, I'm prepared to go on with the Australians and the New Zealanders, but I'm not prepared to go on with the Americans.
Why not, Mr. Prime Minister? Why do you think America...
Well, can I put it this way? I think there are highly intelligent, well-meaning often people, and some of their leaders, like Kennedy, the late president, had signs of growing greatness, depth. But, you know, by and large, the administration lacks depth and judgment or wisdom, which comes out of an accumulation of knowledge of human beings and human situations over a long period of time. That's lacking. And it's not their fault. What have they got? 300-400 years of history, and they've become a nation just recently. You know, I'll tell you this. I've had only three experiences with the Americans. And they did not intend any harm in each one of them. But the tragedy was they did real harm. First, this is old stuff now. We caught an American CIA agent trying to subvert our intelligence special branch officer. Bribe him so that the special branch officer will feed the CIA, because the CIA wants to know what's happening. I mean, subverting a Singapore officer. The man might have succeeded, but I'm proud to say that the officer offered large sum of money and continuing sums of money. This was in 1960. Refused and reported the matter to his chief, who reported it to me. Man was caught, locked up. And it was on razor's edge whether we charged him in open court or not. No, let me explain this. When I told the American government, all right, we keep quiet, you take this man away, $100 million to the Singapore government for economic development. You know? No, listen to me. I didn't tell, you know, I never spoke to the Americans direct because, you know, they lack the finesse, and, you know, they may say, yes, hey, give it to you. Why not? Why should the Singapore government just give to you, to me, which would have ruined me? But through an intermediary, they offered me and my party $10 million. I mean, the insult, you know. I told them, keep it.
Yo, Wabahasi Ahaya in Kuchu 101. This is in Kuchu 101 platform. If you have joined the stream, kindly do us a favor, share, like, comment, and let other people also understand that we are streaming live. So, Wabahasi, that is all I can tell you. If you want to help this channel to grow, don't hesitate to leave us a like and a comment. Now, today we're going to look into how Nigeria has failed Africa. And this thing was seen by one nobleman, Kuan Yew. And today we're going to delve deep and even deeper than you can imagine. I think it's about time we started speaking about these things for us to know where we fell and how we're going to get up and then pick ourselves up with our bootstrap. I'm not going to belabor your head or your ears. We're going to hit right on the head of a nail. And when it hits where you think it's harder, don't worry. Yeah, Drew. You know, the direct translation will be, we are doing ourselves medicine. So what about Hasia? I mean, trying to share now comment. Some of these topics, you find it difficult to get the feed and the algorithm working to our favor, but with your help and the help of many, we can reach many souls. So, what is the story and how did it begin? Yes, how the whole story began. Yes, how did it begin? Let's try to look into it. What are we talking about? We're talking about how Africans constantly and continuously we tend to blame people, but we forget to look into our own closet. We forget to look into our own issues and then try to point out to people who are within our camp and who are trying so hard to destroy things. Ntini nchen ho kra no mesrew say waba hase leave us a like, because where we are, the time we have spent so far online and where we are is not encouraging. I know, I understand that I don't come on Sundays, but it is something we planning to do every Sunday. We'll try to come your way and give you something special, and that will be more of what. Can you bear with me? I'm having a technical challenge here.
I want to be quite frank with you here. If the British withdraw, I'm prepared to go on with the Australians and the New Zealanders, but I'm not prepared to go on with the Americans.
Why not, Mr. Prime Minister? Why do you think America...
Well, can I put it this way? I think there are highly intelligent, well-meaning often people, and some of their leaders, like Kennedy, the late president, had signs of growing greatness, depth. But, you know, by and large, the administration lacks depth and judgment or wisdom, which comes out of an accumulation of knowledge of human beings and human situations over a long period of time. That's lacking. And it's not their fault. What have they got? 300-400 years of history, and they've become a nation just recently. You know, I'll tell you this. I've had only three experiences with the Americans. And they did not intend any harm in each one of them. But the tragedy was they did real harm. First, this is old stuff now. We caught an American CIA agent trying to subvert our intelligence special branch officer. Bribe him so that the special branch officer will feed the CIA, because the CIA wants to know what's happening. I mean, subverting a Singapore officer. The man might have succeeded, but I'm proud to say that the officer offered large sum of money and continuing sums of money. This was in 1960. Refused and reported the matter to his chief, who reported it to me. Man was caught, locked up, and it was on razor's edge whether we charged him in open court or not. No, let me explain this. When I told the American government, all right, we keep quiet, you take this man away, $100 million to the Singapore government for economic development. You know? No, listen to me. I didn't tell, you know, I never spoke to the Americans direct, because, you know, they lack the finesse, and, you know, they may say, yes, hey, give it to you. Why not? Why should the Singapore government just give to you, to me, which would have ruined me? But through an intermediary, they offered me and my party $10 million. I mean, the insult, you know. I told them, keep it. No, this is important. Do not forget this. And this is why I have not the slightest doubt that my two colleagues, Dr. To and Mr. Rajaratnam, go on this tour of Afro-Asia, which they'll do as soon as the local affairs are settled. I have not the slightest doubt that Afro-Asia will be with us.
You see,
unlike if Cuba with an American base, with American sovereignty, is independent and not a neo-colonialist stooge, then me, the people of Singapore, owners of the British bases. I mean, I could give you a notice, 24 hours notice, you have to quit. Or you're committing an act of aggression with very serious consequences.
Thank you for staying tuned with us. Yes, we are back again. And we're going to set the ball rolling. Let's get ready to ramble. Yes, we're talking about how it all started and what Lee Kuan Yew saw some years ahead of time, and the people in Nigeria and Africa couldn't see it. Yes, you know, if you could listen, or if you really listen to what the video I just played and make your own deduction, you realize that all those things that happened to Ghana during the Kwame Nkrumah's era was engineered by, the people. The people. Yes. And in our case, because the country was not united, and some people already had issues with Kwame Nkrumah, people kowtowed to the whims and caprices of the United States. And I don't know whether they understood what they were doing at the time, and they kowtowed to that. And here we are, some years later, here we are, struggling and wallowing, reveling in poverty. We have become a marginalized society, and we do not know what to do with our lives. Not just Ghana, but you look at all the countries, but around Ghana, you talk of Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, Togo. You can clearly see the impact of what they did to Ghana in 1966. Similar thing they plan to do to Singapore, and the people loved their country, and there was some kind of unity among the people who were taking care of the country at the time, and so they stopped the hands of the oppressor. I'll be playing one video from this same man, Lee Kuan Yew, and he made some profound statement. And I want everyone to listen with rapt attention so you can make some clear and concise meaning from what Lee Kuan Yew put forward. If a group of people decide not to come together to be a country, no amount of words, no amount of machination, no amount of thinking can make that country be a country. And see what is happening currently in Nigeria. Nigeria consciously have decided not to be a country. And that is why I take it that Nigeria has messed up. And in totality, Nigeria has failed Africa, and Nigeria has messed up the entire African economy. I don't understand why a country like Nigeria, and it's the most densely populated black nation on earth, you cannot find any country on this planet where you have a whopping number of almost 300 million people. Sometimes I think Nigerians are more than 300 million because maybe we don't have our data right. And people are also understating the numbers so they can do it to make or use it to do all sort of political tricks and gymnastics with it. So if you consider Nigeria being the number one densely populated nation on the continent, and this country has not been able to develop to anchor the neighboring countries like Chad, Benin, Niger, and what have you. If you have a great population, 300 million, even if you don't trade with any other country, you have a great number to do whatever you want to do with it, to make your economy be the economy that will look nice in the eyes of the of the oppressors or the Western world. But here come a country with vast natural resources, looking at what is going on between Iran and Israel, the attempt of Iran Iran having closed the Strait of Hormuz. But you check from the border or the sea coast of Gambia, Senegal, Ivory Coast, Sierra Leone, down to South Africa, Cape Town, we don't have any strait. And if Iran and Israel are fighting, why should we now be the sufferer of a particular country trying to close a certain Strait of Hormuz? Meanwhile, we don't trade by using this Strait of Hormuz. But because consciously we haven't sat down to think through our issues and our problems, that is why a country with this vast natural resources like Nigeria, with this, the oil we have in Nigeria is enough to power the entire continent. The oil, I'm not even including that of Libya or even Angola. Just the oil from Nigeria is enough for us to power the entire Africa. But here comes the problem. Now listen carefully. I don't care whether the YouTube and Facebook will open up this feed or not. I don't care. But what I care, I want people to understand. I want my brothers and sisters who are on the continent to understand that no one is our problem. No colonial or imperial powers are our problems. Our problem or our problems are respective leaders. If I say leaders, I am not only zeroing it just onto the political leaders. Any leader of a sort you can find on the continent is a contributory factor to the woes and the problems we go through day in, day out in our respective countries. But today, the energy is going to be based on Nigeria. Because if you go to Asia, you can talk of great economies like Japan, China, Korea. And these three countries have anchored the economy of the Asians. And so even with economic problems in Indonesia, in Laos, in Myanmar, in all those little countries around, they can go to Korea, they can go to Japan, they can go to China to at least look for food. But here is the case, Nigerians are leaving their country and flooding other people's tiny countries. You go to Ghana, Nigerians have taken over. I'm not saying that Nigerians going into other people's country is a problem, no. But I'm seeing it, I'm looking at this standpoint, from this standpoint that Nigeria should have been the economy to at least anchor Cameroon. Nigeria should have been the powerhouse to accept unemployed graduates from Ghana, from Chad. But what do you see? The reverse is what we see. The reverse is what we see. And Nigerians are leaving their country day in, day out. And when they leave, they don't even have any plans of returning. And this is the problem. Just have a listen.
And it must be that way. But at the end of it all, why have all these countries gone down? They have taken power over from the British, the Dutch, the French, the Belgians, and look at the Congo. Look at Nigeria. 45 million people. They don't enjoy our standard of living. Vast natural.
As at the time this man was talking, Nigeria was 45 million. And this man was shocked to the bones and even to the marrow that why you have this huge population, you have this vast natural resource, you have this mighty river running through the country, River Niger, you have wonderful plateaus, you have arable lands. But why, of all these opportunities, Nigeria can still make it? Take a listen.
Resources, about 20 persons per square mile. Why? I've asked myself this often. Why? Because I must know the reason, otherwise I cannot fulfill my simple elementary function as a minister of the Singapore government. And I tell you, there are many reasons. First, the will to be a nation. If a group of human beings do not want to together constitute a nation.
This is the profound statement. I'll go back and you listen to this statement from this honorable man, Kuan Yew. He said, when a group of people have accepted that they do not want to constitute a country, and that is why you have people from the northern part they call themselves the Houses, the Kano people, the Southerners. You see, how can you be a country with these stupid divisions running amongst you? And when you have this kind of divisions, and that is where and when you have any oppressor, the oppressor will base on the divisions, the stupid divisions you have created among yourself and defeat you. So this is what they've been doing. In the case of Ghana, in the 1960s. So when this man made mention that in the 1960s, the CIA tried to bribe some officials in his government, and the officials did not accept the bribe from the CIA. That same period, the CIA was trying to bribe people in Ghana, and in Ghana, they were able to have their way through because some people were already in that kind of delusional state that we don't want to be part to build and to form the newborn country called Ghana. And so if it is not us, then no one else can do it. If we are not doing it, no one else can do it. And so some people, in the case of Kotuka, Efrifa, Joseph Ankara, and some traditional leaders like Bafwa Koto, connived with the CIA and toppled Kwame Nkrumah. So when you hear people like Frank Zanu of Zanu Project trying to tag Kwame Nkrumah as an idiot who couldn't run a country, then I tend to shudder that what extensive learning have you done regarding the story of Nkrumah? And so if we juxtapose what Lee Kuan Yew said, that when they were trying to build their country, okay, and in the dictionary of America, any country that is on the verge of development, that country is seen in the eyes of the American as an enemy. They don't want you to develop. And they cannot also pounce on you. They will use your own stupid internal structures you've created, base on it, and topple you. And that is exactly what they did to Kwame Nkrumah in Ghana. Because already there were some stupid divisions in the country. So I always tell my Nigerian brothers and sisters that it will be very difficult, extremely difficult for Nigeria to develop. And they seem not to understand because they think that I am being too pessimist. But the truth of the matter is that If a group of people decide that to hell, they are not ready to unite, to build, to fight a common fight, but they want to divide themselves stupidly, how can that country stand? Right from the onset, we messed up with the foundation. And consistently, there hasn't been any effort on the side of any of these African countries I'm citing as an example, who are trying so very much hard to nip this canker in the bud. Let's conclude our video, and I'll have my take on that.
Nothing can make them other than superior function as a minister of the Singapore government. And I tell you, there are many reasons. First, the will to be a nation. If a group of human beings do not want to together constitute a nation, nothing can make them other than superior force. That's what the Dutch and the British did with their empires, and the French. Whether you like the other chap or not, I say that you together constitute my colony, and you are all British subjects or French citizens or Dutch protected persons and so on. Now, each one of them have taken over. And a heterogeneous lot have taken over. And that variegated group must agree that they want to be a people. From the rest in the region, preserving our tolerant, permissive society, our own way of life, and very high standards. But to do that, you must have the will, the capacity to express your desire in an effective way. In other words, you must have leadership. There's no use saying, the Nigerian people believe so and so. Which Nigerian people? East Nigeria, West Nigeria, Midwest Nigeria, North.
Fantastic. Which Nigerian people? The Nigerian people. You see, no one is a Nigerian in Nigeria. Listen, no one is a Nigerian in Nigeria. In Nigeria, people are not Nigerians. They are Yorubas. They are Igbos. They are Warris. They are what they. So if you talk of the Nigerian culture, they haven't got a culture. They haven't got a language. Which language are you talking about? The Yoruba? Are you talking about the Igbo? Are you talking about Hausa? What language? What culture? The Ghanaian culture. What culture are you talking about? The Ewe culture? The Dagomba culture? The Gonja culture? Or the Ashanti culture? Which culture are you talking about? And no one is a Ghanaian in Ghana. Because in Ghana, if you randomly met someone on the street, and then you asked, where'd you come from? That person straight away, or who are you? That person is either going to tell you, I am an Ashanti, I am a Fanti, I am a Krobo, I am a Kwiapim, I am a Latte, I am a Gadagbe, I am this, I am that. A Ghanaian is a Ghanaian only when that person is outside of Ghana. A Nigerian is only a Nigerian only when that person is outside of Nigeria. And this is the blatant fact, truth. There's nothing you and I can do about this fact. So when you talk of China becoming a developed nation, the Chinese culture helped the Chinese to get to where they are now. But where's the Nigerian culture? Where's the Ghanaian culture? Ghana hasn't got any culture. Nigeria hasn't got any culture. What they have, they are stupid divisions. And you see one tribe projecting themselves, one tribe trying to lord themselves over the others. They see other tribes as inferior. And this has also given birth and rise to politicasters. I mean, petty politicians who are riding on these stupid divisions and destroying the beautiful future that we should have built for the youth. When I talk, I don't even want to include future generations. Because if the generation living now, having got food, having got water, having got proper housing and shelter, why should we be thinking of tomorrow? Because we are going to give birth to those who come tomorrow. If we don't nourish our sperms and our ovum or ova very well, we cannot produce the wonderful progeny we want to produce. In natural fact, ideally, the progeny should always perform better than the progenitors. What I mean here is that the offsprings, the future generation should perform better in any way material possible, in terms of technology, in terms of education, in terms of everything. What we anticipate that the future generation should be better off than the current generations. But what preparations have we put down to give rise to the fantastic generation we so envisage? This message is not for the common and the average man. This message is a global message. And I cannot zero it in and select a language that can restrict the reach of this message. And so if today you seem not to maybe understand some of the things I'm putting across, you have to understand that this message actually has a particular targeted audience. I have targeted a particular audience. And so forgive me if you seem not to understand certain things. Please just understand that this message is actually for a particular, a specified and specific audience. You see, we always blame people, and we are good at that. Africans are good at that. It is because of colonialism, and that is why we still continue to fool. That is not a justification. It is because of imperialism. It is because of the slave trade. Let me tell you, there's this woman who is always on the internet trying to confuse people that the British didn't develop any meaningful transportation throughout their journey, the period of stay, their period of stay in Ghana. And that she makes the argument that they only directed all the railway lines into places they could get resources, the natural resources. Take them straight down to Takoradi Harbor and then off to their respective countries or off to England. So now, after so many years, the British left the shores of Ghana. They never rolled back all the railway lines to Awaso, to Bogoso, to all the hinterlands you want to claim that they didn't have the intent or the intention to develop our railway transportation system. So now we have taken charge of our own destiny. And can you understand this? That even the resources we cannot move. Just let's even maintain what the British did. The wicked railway lines they produced, they built for us. We haven't been able to maintain. For the mere fact that we have resources inside Bogoso, Takwa, but all the railway lines going into those communities are in deplorable state. So now you understand that the British didn't want to build a transportation system. They built it to inure to their favor. I understand that. How about you taking charge and now you can't even transport your raw material from the village, from the hinterland, from the woods to the port. And you still want to continue and blame the British? At least they started from somewhere. And having taken over from them, why should we now sit down and always want to try to blame people for our own mistakes, our own stupid leadership strategies, for our own stupid, selfish interest? They didn't build. They didn't connect the country. Now your people have power. Have they been able to connect the country? No. They didn't build schools. They didn't build roads. They didn't build hospitals. Now have they been able, your people, after taking over from the British, have they been able to build the schools? No. So what is this complaint for? We only, you see, and we will continue to complain, and our complaints cannot stop. You see, the complaints of the Daika cannot stop the lion from devouring it. Listen here. If you are an antelope, if you are a deer, if you are a warthog, if you are any kind of delicious meal for the lion, your complaints can never stop the lion from performing, from being itself, from being a lion. The lion, whether rain or shine, is still a lion. Your cries will not stop the lion from devouring you. Your emotional assassination cannot stop the lion from seeing you as a sweet, delicious meal. So if you sit there, if you will find yourself, if you want to play with the lion and will not come up with any defensive mechanism to throw to the lion that, hey, I am different this time round. I am not how you used to see me some years ago. But if you continue to let the lion see you the way it's used, to see you in some years ago, then you will continue, remain as one of the sumptuous meal for the lion. So please, I want African leaders to take this message. We can no longer complain. And we don't have any basis to complain. And whoever has the intent to bamboozle the young African, and those of you who are trying to be like, trying to throw to the people that you have awakened or whatever, you are awakened, and so you're trying to teach certain narrative to the people that you are unable to develop because of the white man. You're unable to develop because the French people colonize you. Colonization is not the preserve of only the African people. Colonization, right from the start of this world, the beginning, has happened. It will continue to happen. If you don't fight it, you will always be colonized. Your complaints cannot stop colonization. As Kwame Nkrumah put it, you may think it's gone, but it has taken a different shape and form. And it will not come in the same form and format that it happened to our ancestors. But it will come with a different and sophisticated form and structure. So if you sit down there and complain, you make the complaints at your own risk, and no one, the colonizer, the one that has the intention to colonize, will never hear your cries.
Nigeria, the Congolese Prime Minister, the Congolese President says so and so. Does he represent the 12 million people of the Congo? Nobody has taken a proper census yet. Nobody knows how many tribes there are. Well, assuming that he does represent the 12 million people of the Congo, is he in a position to express and implement their will? In other words, he having decided, he signs a decree number 1551, that all mercenaries of European origin shall be expelled from the Congo. Now you tell me who will implement that decree, that all the non-Congolese soldiers who have been brought there by so many people, the Belgians, Chombe, and the Katangis and so on, must get out of the Congo. Now who implements that? The United Nations is going to send chaps there to serve writs of summons. You know, we serve writs of summons on our Barisan chaps. We say, here you are, Dr. So-and-so, please appear in court on Wednesday. And he doesn't appear in court, well, then we issue a warrant for his arrest. Then he appears. Then he is granted bail. Then the time comes for him to appear for trial. The boy has disappeared. because he's committed several other offenses. So we say, right, you forfeit. Where is the father and the mother who stood bail? All right, pay $500. Now, you tell me, assuming that I'm the president of the Ruritanian Republic, I say all foreigners will clear out. Then I say, right, UN Secretary General, please send 10 divisions to clear out all foreigners. You see, at the end of it all, one sunny day, all mortars will be falling down on the palace or the istana here, just like they do in Saigon. You know how North Indian died? It's an ignominious ending. Mortars, shells, commandos, his own, chasing him. So he ran under the palace walls to escape. Caught, carried in a jeep, shot in a rice field, disposed of. Collapse. Now that's very sad, isn't it? You must have the will and the wherewithal. In other words, a well-oiled, well-maintained machine must be kept to allow the people at large to express their will as represented by certain groups of persons who in turn can exercise their mandate with efficacy. And when they say, yes, those boys will no longer be given bail because they've broken up court benches, disgraced the magistrate, humiliated the dignity of our courts. And the next time they do this, they are no longer given bail. And they stay in the lockup until their trial. Now, all this requires an elaborate machinery, of which each and every one of you tonight is an important wheel within that machine. Without you, my colleagues and I cannot govern, because you, and in turn the people in every one of the villages in the 51 constituencies, every street understands that. Therefore, today we can meet.
See how profound this statement from Kuan Yew is. Why have they been able to do it and we cannot? Why? It is all because of some stupid divisions. When we say unity doesn't mean that if you are a Yoruba, you should by force turn into Igbo man. If you're an Akan or a Santi man, you should by force turn into an Ewe man. That is not the narrative. The narrative here is that if you are a Yoruba, if you're an Asante man, you have to mentally unite with the Ewe man. And what is the purpose of this unity? And the common cause here is to build a certain kind of legacy that will be beneficial to both of you. Not leaving one party's plight behind. But if you see unity as throwing certain kind of sovereignty under the feet of the other party, then you always see unity to be a problem, not a solution. You see, it got to a time when the people wanted to have absolute control over the continent of Africa. What did they do? They convened a meeting. That is 1888. That you call the Scramble for Africa. They came to a point that we're no longer going to fight amongst ourselves. But what are we going to do instead? We're going to sit down and deliberate on issues, come up with concrete solutions so we can all benefit peacefully and amicably. But what can't the Hausa man put aside all of those stupid issues? Why can't the Yoruba and the Igbo man put aside all of those their stupid issues and say, for once, that we have reveled in this stupidity for quite too long, and so we should make some concrete and advanced move just to break that jinx. The British took away gold. They took away the diamond. But they never took away the land. The British, listen, the British took the gold, took the diamond, took the cocoa, took the bauxite, but they never took the land. So the big question is, are we still benefiting from the same land the British and the French and the Germans benefited? Yes. And when they benefited from the land, what did they use the proceeds from the land to do for their people? They used the proceeds. They used the resources to build wonderful future for their future generations. Why can't we do the same? But the same land that we complain the British took out the gold and the diamond from, is still, they are there, sitting right there. And we are taking the oil from the Niger Delta region. We are taking the gold from Obuasi. But go to Obuasi, people can't get water to drink. Go to Port Harcourt, go to the Niger Delta region, people don't have steady electricity. Why? Because some people have taken conscious effort that they will not let go of certain stupid mindset and stupid ideologies. For us to be able to develop, I'm telling you, if we continue to go the same way our ancestors, some of our stupid leaders have gone over the years, no sub-Saharan Africa, so to speak, the West African country, will be able to develop to a certain level that will be respectable in the eyes of the global man. We still have more gold, we still have more diamond, we still have more bauxite, and we even discovering new resources like lithium and what have you. All year round, we have sun. Have we been able to harness the potentials? All year round, you can go bare-chested. You can decide not to clothe yourself. You wouldn't have any issues with pneumonia and so on. What benefit have we been able to derive from all these things? And indeed, if a man is blessed with so much resource, it blocks the mind to see development. Because we don't experience any serious threats from the weather. And that is also a contributing factor. if we so want the other race to respect us, we need to start to do things that in themselves are respectful. If people see you that for the first time you have a broom in your hand, you have the dust collector in your hand, or the dustpan in your hand, and people have seen you as being a filthy person, but this time people have seen you weeding around your house, trying to gather all the rubbish, and after all, trying to do something meaningful with the rubbish. Those who used to see you as a filthy person will start to write different story in their minds for you. But if you continue to wallow, if you continue to swim in stupidity, if you continue to play in the field, then people will judge you by using your own field. So leaders of the continent, on the continent, I will entreat you guys that enough is enough. It is about time you started seeing the world as a playing field. And you cannot get yourself out there with emotions. You can only get yourself out there with serious practice, with serious training, and with serious tactics and strategy. It is only by using these things that is where and when you can do something meaningful on the playing field. But if you go to the playing field with emotions, people will use technology to defeat you. The opponent will use strategy and planning and training to defeat you. Kuan Yew saw this thing some 60, 70 years ago. We could not see it. But there's a saying that it's never too late. If only we will start with that willpower, that yes, indeed, we want to build ourselves. It is only when we will start to see a scruple of light at the end of the tunnel. Adios. Bye-bye.